I don't fucking think so.
Welcome to Share Reviews, where the mobile should be on the side. Last March, I did a review for the trailer of the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. And it wasn't until yesterday that I actually managed to see it. Many people have often warned fellow Turtle fans that no one should watch this movie. Was it really as bad as they say it is?
Now, before I even talk about this movie, I want to clear a few things up. First, Michael Bay. With the exception of his company Platinum Dunes, he is only the producer, meaning his only crime committed was paying for the movie, and many other movies he's produced have actually done things he was against. For example, Friday the 13th, despite Bay being well known for putting too much sex appeal in the movies he directs, he was firmly against the forced sex appeal in the reboot of the Friday the 13th movies. A movie where pretty much the entire formula is sex, drugs, and mass murder. When I first heard about this one, I thought,
Who are you and what have your alien friends done to Michael Bay?
second of all is the more controversial than that. The Turtles being aliens. With the exception of two lines, there's no talks about them being aliens. The first example was talking about how stupid the ocean was, whilst the second was more or less a reference to the TCR ooze that created the turtle.
With that settled, let's look at the movie.
The story goes like so. New York City is being taken over by a crime group known as the Foot Clan, who use military and ninjutsu tactics to commit mass crime all over the city.
Unlike the example of the 90s movie, where their methods were so thorough that many refused to believe they existed, this movie takes the opposite approach by making them well known and using intimidation as a means of preventing people, including police, from trying to stop them.
April O'Neil is determined to capture evidence of their activities in hopes of being taken seriously as a reporter.
And also why people hate Megan Fox so much. Much of the controversy that surrounding her is mainly guilt by association with Bay.
During a routine investigation, April bites off more than she can chew when she discovers not only the Foot's activities, but spots a group of vigilante turtles putting a stop to their activity. She tries to give evidence to her boss, played by Whoopi Goldberg, whom, like her 90s counterpart, doesn't believe her.
Gotta hand it to old Whoopi. She interacts with the ghost of Patrick Swayze. Spends 29 episodes and 2 movies of Star Trek, where there's lots of aliens and supernatural things surrounding it. Yet when Megan Fox tells her there are mutant Ninja Turtles in New York, that's when she draws the line.
The Foot Clan also discovers the vigilante and stage a hostage situation to try to lure them out.
I know people hate this movie, but that's actually one of the most clever plans a comic villain ever came up with. Not even Loki, who's pretty much the unofficial mascot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, can call it something that clever, and he's an evil genius.
Of course, being the bad guys, it did badly with the Foot, while we actually see the turtles in action for the first time. April follows them and meets them, prompting a "now medic, it's just a mask" joke. This I like because it's rare that we see the turtles' faces behind the masks. Aside from the cartoons, no one really ever sees what they fully look like until now.
It's also what cements Mikey's personality, since regardless of adaptation, he's always going to be the funny turtle. And him thinking that April is more scared of the mask than the fact that she's talking to a group of giant freaking turtles is hilarious at best.
Upon hearing their names, she finds out that the Turtles and Splinter were her childhood pets while she was attending work with her father in the TCRI lab.
In this continuity, Splinter is not connected to, nor is he the rat form of Hamato Yoshi. Or is he? He did imply that he did not remember anything before being in the lab, so odds are there was a life before he was captured. And it wouldn't be the first time that stray rats were captured for experimentation. It's also very interesting how they did April's backstory here.
Not many people know this, but her being a reporter started only with the Fred Wolf cartoon. In the original Mirage comics, she was a former lab assistant to Baxter Stockman and met the Turtles while she was trying to run away from them. This movie combined both that backstory and the one with the cartoon, something the 90s movie tried to do but only partially succeeded. She meets the only other person with knowledge of the Turtles, Eric Sachs, who many have falsely dubbed as White Shredder. But thanks to watching the film, he's basically Baxter Stockman. His intention was to make the ultimate antidote to a deadly poison, which he also made, so that way he could hold New York hostage and profit from the former. Since the Turtles were thought to be dead back then, he and the real Shredder abandoned their plan and did petty crimes for the evils. Of course, now that their plan's back into motion, the Turtles have to stop them.
It was actually a big surprise when people found out Sax wasn't the Shredder, since his name sounded like the westernized version of Oroku Saki. And the real Shredder, much like the original comics, was mostly faceless, save for a couple of noticeable scars, seen within the shadows. This further proves my theory that there's more to both Splinter and Shredder than they lead on. They even combined the seriousness of the 90s movie and the 2003 cartoon, what with the silver robotic armor, and the effortless defeat of the Turtles upon first battle, as well as the comedic moments of the Fred Wolf cartoon, such as when Shredder, in all his seriousness, says the immortal line, "Tonight I dine on turtle soup." The movie is not as bad as they say it is. It could be better, but if anything, it's a lot closer to the original comics than even the 90s movie could ever get. The Turtles themselves aren't as bad looking, at least to me, which is the main theme of the film, as before in many versions of it. The recurring theme was that, despite the lives they saved, the outside world could never accept the Turtles. But this adds the added bonus to extending to the audience, since fans of the franchise, as well as moviegoers in general, are split between whether the Turtles look good or not, effects-wise. Megan Fox did a great job as O'Neill, and it's hard not to sympathize with her when people rag on her performance. Because, well, it's a lot of effort to play a role like that, since April's been a staple of the franchise since the comics began. It's 3 decades of shoes to fill. Even if she wasn't great, it would have taken a lot of effort in order to do a good show on it. Sax is also a great villain. It's about damn time that they had a villain other than the Shredder, since even though the Shredder's not a bad villain, he's been seen so many damn times in every adaptation that we forget there's other villains like Tokan Razor, Bebop and Rocksteady, Tatsu, and the Dimension X monsters, and so on. The movie is overall great, and I can't wait for the sequel. As usual, debate, argue, and let me know what I missed. Stay tuned for more. Cowabunga.